Hi, everyone. We're back again for another data analytics walkthrough video. Today, I wanted to talk about data transformations within the Power Query editor, specifically transforming a horizontally oriented tracking table into some structure that will allow us to generate nice, easygoing, calming visuals like this one right here. This is the table. Isn't this pretty? Imagine doing a meeting and this is the data view that you're giving everyone. Now, this kind of tracking table is intuitive, I suppose. So, within the context of project management and budget variance analysis, we're going to have something like cost categories. And then at the top, we're going to have the date breakout, right? Our cost by date. But when it comes to project management metrics, we want to know our budget variance. So in this case, what was our actual relative to what we had originally planned? Moreover, we may actually have a forecast that differs from our baseline. So that's where this third category comes in. Let's say the baseline value was determined 10 months ago when the contract was being put together and ultimately signed. Then 8 months go by, 4 months go by, the work starts, and we realize, oh, wait a sec, you know what? Our forecast is actually going to deviate a little bit from the baseline. It's not a change. It's just that we need to tweak some things a little bit. And so we have a small difference here. Again, we want to see this visually. We want to compare our evolving forecast to our original planned amount. And then there's the actual. The actual is obviously what occurred. So this kind of table structure, I see it all the time. I see it in client report templates. I see it in internal report templates. And I suppose it does have a sense of intuitive flow to it where every month you just tag on another month. Right? Every time you refresh the report, you just tag on another month, and then you sum all your data in from there. Okay, great. When it comes time to doing visuals, I just don't find this as good of a setup. And particularly within Power BI, we want to orient things vertically. So what you're going to see, for us to get to this point right here, we are going to turn this horizontal stretch into the abyss. We're going to turn it into 4 columns. So one column is going to be the cost category. One column will be the date. One column will be the budget status. And then one column will be the value. Okay, so let's get right into that. And again, most of the time with Excel, you can say, well, why are you doing it in Excel, then turning it into Power BI? From my experience, a lot of this is legacy, right? So a company and its personnel may have legacy files that they built or that they've just been using and have become used to. And so we don't want to stir the pot too much, but at the same time, we want to create visuals that make meetings with higher levels of management less painful. Because when you try to give it like this, it's just, yes, you can create sums and you can work with this here, but if we want to automate things, if we want to make the data easier to work with, then we've got to structure it differently. So once your file is set and ready to be refreshed, make sure you save it. Then you're going to open up Power BI Desktop. If you don't have it downloaded, maybe I'll make another video. There's tons of videos on that. It's pretty self-explanatory. But you're going to open up on basically a tab, and it'll give you the option of loading from Excel or SQL Server or what have you. Now, I've already loaded the query in, but just as a refresh here, let's say you wanted to grab that new file. So you're going to go to Get Data. It's just an Excel workbook that we're pulling. And from there, you navigate to your file. So I've already got it loaded up. So once you select your file, if you have multiple tabs in the file, you have to select the right tab. In fact, maybe I'll just quickly show you that. So let's go get data, Excel workbook here, documents, horizontal money, right? And then each of these is its own tab. So you navigate to the tab you want, and then you click transform. And I've already done that. So once you've got the query set, to edit it, you just right click on your data here, and you go to edit query. Now, I've already done the transformations, but I'll just walk you through what happens. So once you select your tab, it's going to show you this. Exactly as the data is structured in Excel, that's what it's going to give you. So notice how we don't have our columns set. This looks like a mess. How could you run formulas and visuals off of this, right? For the purpose of graphics. Well, what we're going to do is transpose. So we want to flip this table so that the dates here at the top and these rows here, they ultimately become vertical columns. So you don't have to select anything. Just go up here to transform, right down to transpose. Okay, and I've already done that. So transpose. So what did it do? Well, the dates, as you remember, that were oriented in this top row just below the header, they've now become a column, as has this. Because in our Excel, the cost category was set up here. So when we flip it, we literally just flip things 90 degrees so that now our cost categories are essentially pre-headers, right? Each cost category is its own column. And then the dates have now been turned into a column. The budget status has been turned into a column. So this is good. This is what we wanted, right? We wanted 4 columns. So by doing a simple transpose, remember, transform, transpose, boom. We're halfway there. Date's a column, budget status is a column, and then we got all these guys. Now, we're going to now make this top row, we're going to make it the header. So you're going to right click on the top corner here and then go use first row as headers. And that's what I did here, promoted headers. Excellent. And again, we're almost there, but we want to collapse this into its own column. So that's when you do an unpivot. Okay, so click that column, go over here, click that, unpivot, unpivot. And this is what it looks like. So me doing this from staff, so you don't click everything, right? You just click the tables, you just click the columns that you want to ultimately collapse into one column. And then we're there, just like that. We've got our 4 columns restructured without changing the original Excel file. So remember how I mentioned these legacy personnel, they like their files. They don't want a lot of change, but they want information expedited. They want all the frills of the new technical skills, but they also want to cling to their original formats because that's what they know, right? So once you've got this structured, rename, perfect, change type, sorted, and then we'll go to home and close and apply. Now I've already structured it like this, but let's recreate it. Okay, so say this is what it's going to show you when you first load your query. Okay, so you can select your graph, style, get our values in there, get our dates in there, get our budget status in there. Now with our date hierarchy here, okay, maybe we don't want quarter. So let's get rid of the quarter. And you know what? I don't know what this means. Is this 450? What is it, right? So then you go over here to the middle guy. Format your visual data labels. Okay, and you can do all kinds of formatting therein. you can add slicers, right? So we may want to look at the cost category. How much of this is broken up by one cost, another cost, right? So you go here and add this little guy, slicer. And that's where we're going to throw our cost category in. And maybe we want to be able to splice date. So just create another slicer, drop it in. You can even change the settings of your slicer. Okay, so maybe you don't want a vertical list. Maybe you want a between. Maybe you want a drop down. Entirely up to you. Okay, we'll do a vertical list. Now, totally optional, but sometimes I like to have nice calming pictures in the background. So if you want to do that, you would literally just save a photo or a picture somewhere, and then you can load it in from wherever you save it, just like loading in a file in any other regard. But that kind of busies the graph, right? So maybe we want to tone down the intensity of the image, right? We can kind of restructure it in a way that gives us what we need. You can then go in after and say we want to increase the size of the text. Okay, maybe the title. We want the title bigger. Or maybe we don't want the title at all. Right? You can do the same thing with the data labels, values. Make them big. You can change the color. Right? We can do really whatever we want once we get the data loaded in. We can even break this out by clicking on the slicer. Right? So let's say we just care about the direct labor. Okay, let me just change the visual here. The colors, let's go back to white. So we don't want to busy the graph too much, right? So that's why we would maybe just slice off the cost category separately like this. So let's say, we're curious about small tools. Our actual was 16, our baseline 15, our forecast 17. You know what? Let's look at materials now, right? So now we can essentially do our manipulations in here without doing really any formulas. It's all just summing and aggregating and grouping. So there you have it. We've taken a legacy style way of tracking with multiple would-be header criteria, and we've restructured it in a way that gives us basically best of two worlds. We don't alter the original data that is in the format that was given to us, and we are able to produce good visuals automatically. So let's say this were to happen again and there's 19 more dates that get loaded in. When we refresh, it'll just refresh that data, provided the file location is the same, the name of the file is the same, right? Just like with Power Query. So once you set it up initially, that data transformation is basically automatic. To refresh your file, you would just click up here, and then all queries associated with the file will refresh. So there you have it. Don't ever get discouraged by an ugly, horizontally oriented table. We can handle it, provided you know how to do some of these transformations. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time as always. Stay tuned for more fire content coming up. Thanks again.